Kyle there. Kyle, I was just sitting here talking about, I hate to revisit it because we've got so much more to talk about, but the Danville-Brebuf game, and Danville files a complaint to the IHSAA, which I laugh. Good luck with that. But they probably should. I don't know. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, but I was just saying, Hollywood couldn't even write this script because it is absolutely not believable.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. All the twists and turns and things that happened and things that didn't happen. First of all, the miracle play by Brebuf to tie the game and get that into overtime, and then get the 2-point conversion.
Quickly revisit, because you were there, right?
I was not, but I know enough now at this point to probably feel like I was there. But yeah, they were. I mean, Brebuf had. Well, first of all, Danville was leading 36-35. They got an interception return for a touchdown in the last 30 seconds of the game. Now, if you look back, if the guy who intercepts the pass, the player who intercepts the pass, just goes down, the game's over. None of this happens. So
it's his fault. It's all his fault.
Yeah. Not that you expect a high school kid to do that necessarily, and still should have been a win. But so basically it comes down to 60-yard play. Brebuf runs their sort of their miracle play, 3 laterals. The quarterback ends up with the ball, runs 42 yards. He's the last guy to pick up the lateral, and basically had a straight line through the middle of the field that ends up being a touchdown. So then they get the 2-point conversion, send the game to overtime, and then in overtime, Danville scores to go ahead, but doesn't get the extra point conversion, 2-point conversion. So they're ahead by 6. 4th and 6, Brebuf, Geske, the quarterback, scrambles around, gets tackled. The ball kind of squirts loose, and this is where the problems really sort of arose. The ball kind of squirts loose, whether he's down or not, it depends on who you root for. The ball kind of gets loose, and as that happens, the players from Danville, several of them, run onto the field thinking the game's over and celebrating. Then the ball basically goes down, it's just covered basically, and the celebration continues. As all that's happening, the refs are huddling, and again, kind of depends who you talk to, but there is definitely. I talked to Danville's coach. I've been talking to him throughout the aftermath of this, and I did talk to Brebuf athletic director yesterday, Ted Hampton, who I know well, and I know people on both sides of this, but it's kind of differing opinion on what actually happened. They felt like the game was over. Danville felt that way once the whistle blew and there was no flag thrown. And typically that's accurate, I would say. So the frustration, I think Brebuf understands it too, because, the frustration of it, I think, because, hey, the flag wasn't on the field. It took about 2 minutes of real time before the officials decided Danville ran on the field too early and the play wasn't over. So then they dropped the flag. Brebuf gets another chance and scores.
We see this all the time. How many times have we seen college games, especially, where it looks like the game's over? They're like, no, stop. Get everybody back off the field. They just get everybody back off the field because it's obviously a misunderstanding, but that is obvious. This should have been the same thing, in my opinion.
That's a valid argument, I would say. And, in the weirdness of how the ball kind of squirted loose, and that's what kind of led to the flag being thrown. Was it relevant to the play? No. Was it it wouldn't have changed anything. That's kind of where I come down on it too, I guess, is even if the play was still going, nothing happened. It wasn't like a Danville player ran out there and tackled the guy or recovered the ball or something. It was just they were on the field, probably 8 or 9 of them from what I could see, kind of ran on too early. So, Brebuf made it again. They had to score on 4th down, and they did, and they had to get the 2-point conversion and did. So everything that kind of happened that, there were still opportunities for Danville to win and couldn't do it. But I think their point, Jamie Comer's point, is like, hey, at what point is the game over? We had already shaken hands, we'd already, done all these things, and then you're telling me the game's still. Yeah, you could read all his quotes from yesterday, but I mean, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I'm going to be, and from talking to Comer yesterday, it sounds like Danville, and he's not doing this, but some of the fans and parents are making up Danville One T-shirts, and they may be at the game Friday when Brebeuf plays Roncalli. So Roncalli may have an additional cheering section from Danville when this game happens Friday. So and hopefully nothing dumb happens, from all that. But it is, I mean, you play these games and I think another frustration here was the referee who was the white hat had not been reffing this season. And there was an injury to the normal white hat that he wasn't able to work this game. And I think from, talking to Jamie, they felt like they knew this on Tuesday and didn't sort of adjust the lineup. This was we knew this was going to be, I had this ranked as the best game in the state going into the week. So you knew it's a big game. And he felt like this crew probably wasn't, it was kind of a thrown together crew because of that injury that, maybe they weren't, hadn't been up to snuff or, whatever, sharp to do this type of game. So I think that's where another frustration lies in all this. So, but yeah, it's it seems like, I don't know if, like you said at the top, I don't know what changes. Nothing. I'm, 99.9% sure.
The IHSAA doesn't get things right when they have time, and it has nothing to do with a quick decision like this. But yeah, nothing is going to change with this. And I get their frustration. What else? There's nothing else for them to do. But it goes on. It sucks for the seniors on that team. It really does. I would hate to be that because I talked about this yesterday. Man, there are just some things that stick in your mind forever, especially if you're a competitor. There's stuff in my head from 35 years ago now that still drive me nuts. But it is what it is. So we'll move on.
I would say too, you just have, what if you're one of those kids who ran on you didn't do anything wrong. It's just, you thought the play was over. You saw the quarterback go down and you just ran and you reacted. So I feel for those guys too, who, it's just a natural reaction. Maybe
was there anybody else on the field besides just their players? Was there anyone else that happened to have wandered on the field would be my first question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, I saw some of the replay. I saw somebody point out like the Brebeuf coach was a few yards out on the field, so but again, those are normal, it's not like those flags you see basketball coaches all the time. They're out on the court, when the play's on the other side of the field. So it's not like, that's not that unusual, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to make that call, then you better do it for everybody, so it's just, it's like everything that could have happened wrong sort of happened wrong, unless you're Brebeuf, I guess. But even then, as Jamie Comer pointed out yesterday, it kind of casts kind of a black cloud over Brebeuf a little bit, just because and they didn't do anything wrong necessarily. It's just how the whole thing went down. But yeah, I don't know. And they, I would say they have a chance to win win this game Friday against Roncalli and move on. And, the story will sort of continue, I guess, but yeah, I don't think anything will. In fairness to the IHSAA a little bit, I don't know what you can. I don't know if you can overturn it. It's just such a. The referees, I think, just made this decision. It's not like the IHSAA was making it in the moment. So but yeah, I don't know. I feel like they should probably issue some sort of statement, but haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah, again, my response is good luck with that. But now we have to move on. Indiana high school football playoffs. Going through some of your games you've got listed to top 20. My Highlanders, Castle from down in the southwest part of the state, our listeners on 97.7 The Ref, 7-2. Castle taking on a 6-2 Floyd Central. So assuming Castle played a game last week already. And then the Highlanders, they're at Floyd Central, baby.
Well, Floyd Central probably had the there's a few teams that didn't finish those games the Lightning week, so I think that's probably why they have the one less game. I don't think anybody last week in 5A or 6A
Right. No, you're right.
played. So, but yeah, Castle's really good. I mean, they have a guy, Benny Patterson, he's a Cincinnati commit, but he's getting all kinds of other. I think he got LSU and some others defensive linemen for Castle, and they've only lost a couple of games. Both were against good teams, good 3A teams, Mater Dei and Memorial, and Castle's always good. There always seems like they're in the making a run into the tournament a lot of times and winning sectionals at the very least. So I'm sure that'll be a tough game down there in 5A. And 5A is a class where it's been the south half of 5A has kind of been wide open to the last couple of years anyway. And Whiteland and Decatur Central have been able to make runs from the south half of the bracket, and we'll see what happens this year. I think there's another chance for the winner of that sectional. And those teams play actually on Friday, Whiteland and Decatur, and then Plainfield's on the other side of that sectional 13 bracket. That's a real monster of a bracket. But yeah, I would say the winner of Floyd Central and Castle too. That team should win the sectional. So it's one of those sectionals where the semifinal could actually most likely be the championship game.
Let's go Highlanders. Also down in that area, Evansville Rights going up against Jasper in 4A. Evansville Rights won the regular season game. Then you've got Fort Wayne Snyder at Elkhart in 6A, 7-2 Fort Wayne Snyder. Elkhart 8-1. That looks like to be a good matchup.
Yeah, I think so. Elkhart, they don't play a lot of 6A team. I don't think they play any 6A team. The one loss they had was to Concord, which is Concord's only they've won all their games, so they're ranked number 1, I believe, in 5A. But so that's their only loss. They lost by 1 point, but again, didn't play. I think they did beat Penn, so they got a 1 6A team they played against. So, and Snyder's a team that they were the 5A champions last year and moved up via the success factor. So they've been a team but they have played in 6A before. They play mostly or at least probably partially half the season against 6A teams. So they're a program that's been tested and has won at this level before. So yeah, that should be a really good game in the north part of the bracket, and maybe that winner could end up. You're probably going to see Carroll next week. Carroll's very good too, and then I think Crown Point. Man, they're probably the Crown Point's probably the team to beat. They made the state finals last year. You could probably argue Westfield as well. That could be the matchup again if you look ahead to the semi-state. Crown Point and Westfield down the road, but. Long way to go still. I mean, some of these teams are going to get no doubt, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that Snyder Elkhart game could be a good one.
And all kinds of games. The Fighting Dan Dockages at Wheeler up in the 2A sectional. Evansville Rights at Jasper, I just mentioned, and Fort Wayne and Elkhart. Evansville School's having a hell of a year. You've got Fort Wayne or Evansville Memorial 10-0, but they get a visit from Southridge, who's 8-2. That's another game that looks to be a top matchup. Western Boone is 8-2 at Lafayette Central Catholic. Let's see. Paoli 10-0 at Brownstown Central 10-0. Holy crap. That's a 2A game, but man, you got a couple of undefeated teams there.
Yeah, that should be a good one. Paoli probably hasn't played overall the schedule that Brownstown has, but yeah, that's a good one. You mentioned Evansville; those teams always good. Memorial, I think, could be the team to beat. Certainly they're tested by a really good schedule pretty much every year. So, they're legit and normally are. So yeah, there's a lot of good games out there. That sectional Memorial's in is absolutely loaded. You got Gibson Southern in there. Like you said, Southridge is in there. Mater Dei and Heritage Hills is on the other side of that bracket. Heritage Hills had to beat Gibson Southern last week. They beat them 35-18. But yeah, that sectional, if you can get through that one, you're really doing something. That's a loaded sectional in Class 3A.
You've got the defending state champion in Ben Davis, who currently stands at 4-5, taking on a 5-4 Pike team in sectional play. Man, this is probably not where Ben Davis expected to be right now.
No, although they have won 3 in a row. You know, they were 1-5 at one point, and probably people writing them off. And then you know, they have played a little bit. You know, one of those wins was North Central, which has not had a win this year. But they beat Carmel, they beat LC, both pretty handily, and they're just a dangerous team. You know, I don't think, and their one win they had in the first 6 weeks was a pretty much a blowout win over Pike, which was surprised me because Pike had been playing pretty well and has had a good season. So I don't know what to make of this game. You know, it's hard to know. You know, Pike's had a good year, but obviously there's a mental thing too with Ben Davis. They haven't, you know, had much success against them over the years. You know, and Ben Davis, like I said, they're just a scary group because you got Mark Zachary, you got Elijah Price. They've got a sophomore quarterback who's been playing better. I'm not sure that's a team you want to see. You know, now Pike is kind of playing with house money a little bit, like I said, because they haven't won a lot of these type of games. But, you know, you'll have Brownsburg-Avon, the winner of that, playing, you know, the winner of this Ben Davis-Pike game next week, and that could be really interesting. You know, if Ben Davis has kind of found their stride a little bit, you know, that's probably not a team you want to see here in the next few weeks. But, again, they're not as strong as they were last year, definitely not as strong defensively. They graduated so many linebackers from that team last year and just key players. But again, they're super explosive. They can score on anybody, and they've been playing, like I said, playing a lot better here these last few weeks.
Looking forward to it. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star will have all of your IHSAA football playoff coverage with the Star. Make sure you're giving him a follow to keep up on it. Be a subscriber. Keep local papers alive. Kyle, I cannot thank you enough, as always.
No problem. Thanks, Jim.